I've faced many dangers in my time as a veteran, but nothing could have prepared me for the sheer terror of encountering a Sasquatch in the wild. It was a crisp autumn morning when I set out alone into the dense forests of the Pacific Northwest, seeking solace and solitude in nature's embrace. Little did I know, I was about to come face to face with a creature straight out of legend. As I ventured deeper into the wilderness, the towering trees closed in around me, their branches swaying gently in the breeze. The earthy scent of pine filled my nostrils, and the sound of my footsteps echoed through the stillness of the forest. I had been hiking for hours, lost in my thoughts, when I first caught sight of it, a massive figure lurking among the shadows of the trees. At first, I thought it was just a trick of the light, a figment of my imagination brought on by the isolation of the wilderness. But as I drew closer, I realized with a sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach that it was all too real. Standing before me, towering over 8 feet tall, was a creature straight out of my worst nightmares, a Sasquatch. Its fur was dark and matted, its muscles rippling beneath its massive frame. Its eyes gleamed with a fierce intelligence, and its lips curled back in a snarl that revealed rows of razor-sharp teeth. I knew then that I was in grave danger. Instinct kicked in, and I reached for the rifle slung over my shoulder, my fingers fumbling with the safety catch. But before I could raise the weapon, the creature lunged at me with lightning speed, its massive hands closing around my throat in a vice-like grip. I gasped for air, my vision swimming as I struggled to break free from its grasp. Every muscle in my body screamed in agony, but the creature's grip only tightened, crushing the life out of me with brutal efficiency. Desperate and running out of options, I summoned every ounce of strength I had left and drove my knee into the creature's stomach with all the force I could muster. It let out a guttural roar of pain, loosening its grip just enough for me to slip free. I hit the ground hard, the impact knocking the wind out of me as I scrambled to put some distance between myself and the creature. But it was relentless, pursuing me through the underbrush with an otherworldly speed and agility that defied its massive size. I ran until my legs threatened to give out beneath me, the pounding of my heart echoing in my ears like a drumbeat of doom. Behind me, I could hear the creature's heavy footsteps closing in, its hot breath hot on my neck. In a last desperate bid for survival, I burst through the trees into a small clearing, the moonlight illuminating the scene with an eerie glow. I skidded to a halt, my lungs burning with exertion, as I realized with horror that I had nowhere left to run. With a primal roar, the creature emerged from the shadows, its eyes fixed on me with an intensity that sent chills down my spine. I braced myself for the end, knowing that there was no escaping the fury of the Sasquatch. But just as it was about to strike the killing blow, there was a sudden flash of movement from the underbrush. A figure emerged from the darkness, armed with a rifle and a look of grim determination. It was a fellow veteran, drawn to the scene by the sound of the struggle. With a steady hand and nerves of steel, they took aim and fired, the gunshot ringing out like a thunderclap in the stillness of the night. The creature let out a deafening roar of pain, its grip on me loosening as it stumbled backward. I wasted no time, scrambling to my feet and sprinting for my life as the creature writhed in agony behind me. I didn't stop running until I reached the safety of civilization, my heart still pounding in my chest as I collapsed to the ground, gasping for breath. It was a night I would never forget, a harrowing encounter with a creature straight out of legend that would haunt my nightmares for years to come. And though I may have escaped with my life, I knew that there are some horrors in this world that can never truly be vanquished.
I never thought I'd find myself deep in the wilderness, face to face with a creature straight out of legend. But that's exactly where I found myself, on a routine hunting trip that turned into the most terrifying experience of my life. I'm a seasoned veteran, having spent years in the military, but nothing could have prepared me for what I encountered in those dark woods. It was supposed to be a simple outing, just me and a few buddies, looking to bag some game and escape the stresses of civilian life for a while. We set out early in the morning, armed to the teeth and brimming with confidence. The forest stretched out before us, vast and untamed, its secrets hidden among the dense foliage. Little did we know that we were about to uncover a secret that would shake us to our core. As we trudged deeper into the wilderness, the world around you seemed to come alive with the sounds of nature. Birds chirped in the treetops, and small animals scurried through the underbrush. But there was something off about the atmosphere, a tension that hung in the air like a thick fog. We pressed on, determined to make the most of our day in the great outdoors. But as the sun began to dip below the horizon, casting long shadows across the forest floor, a sense of unease settled over us like a heavy blanket. That's when we heard it, a low, guttural growl that seemed to reverberate through the trees. We froze in our tracks, our senses on high alert, every muscle tensed for action. Whatever was out there, it was big, and it was close. With trembling hands, we raised our rifles, scanning the darkness for any sign of movement, but the forest remained eerily still, as if holding its breath in anticipation of what was to come. And then we saw it, a massive figure looming among the trees, its hulking silhouette bathed in the soft glow of the moonlight. My heart pounded in my chest as I realized what I was looking at, a Sasquatch. It stood there, its eyes fixed on us with a mix of curiosity and suspicion. Its fur was dark and matted, its muscles rippling beneath its massive frame. I could feel the primal power emanating from it, a force of nature that seemed to defy all logic and reason. For a moment, we were frozen in place, locked in a silent standoff with the creature before us. But then, with a sudden burst of movement, it charged. We barely had time to react, scrambling to get off a shot as the creature barreled toward us with terrifying speed. Bullets flew through the air, but it was like trying to stop a freight train with a pea shooter. I felt a sharp pain in my shoulder as the creature's massive paw swiped at me, sending me sprawling to the ground. My vision swam as I struggled to regain my bearings, the taste of blood filling my mouth. Through the haze of pain and fear, I saw my buddies fighting desperately to fend off the creature, but it was no use. It was like fighting a force of nature, an unstoppable juggernaut driven by instinct and primal fury. And then, just as suddenly as it had begun, it was over. The creature vanished into the darkness, leaving us battered and bruised but alive. We stumbled out of the forest, shaken to the core by the horrors we had witnessed. To this day, I can't shake the memory of that terrifying encounter. It haunts my dreams and fills me with a sense of dread every time I set foot in the wilderness. But in a strange way, I'm grateful for the experience. It reminded me that there are still mysteries in this world that defy explanation, and that sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction.
I've spent years serving my country, facing dangers in far-flung corners of the world that most people couldn't even imagine. But nothing could have prepared me for the terrifying encounter I had deep in the heart of the forest, where I came face to face with something beyond belief. It was supposed to be a simple camping trip, a chance to reconnect with nature and leave the stress of military life behind. I set out alone, armed with nothing but a backpack and a sense of adventure. Little did I know that my journey would take a sinister turn. As I ventured deeper into the dense forest, the air grew thick with an ominous stillness. The trees loomed overhead like silent sentinels, their branches casting eerie shadows that seemed to dance in the fading light. I pushed forward, my senses on high alert, every instinct screaming at me to turn back. That's when I saw it, a massive figure lurking among the trees, its hulking silhouette blending seamlessly with the shadows. My heart leaped into my throat as I realized what I was looking at, Bigfoot. I froze in terror, unable to tear my eyes away from the creature before me. Its eyes gleamed in the darkness, filled with a primal intelligence that sent shivers down my spine. I reached for my rifle, my fingers trembling with fear, but something held me back. For what felt like an eternity, we stood there, locked in a silent standoff. The creature made no move to attack, but its presence alone was enough to fill me with a bone-deep dread. I knew then that I was trespassing in its territory, and I prayed that it would let me leave in one piece. Just when I thought I couldn't bear the tension any longer, the creature let out a deafening roar that echoed through the forest like thunder. It was a warning, a reminder of the primal power it wielded and the danger it posed to anyone foolish enough to cross its path. With a surge of adrenaline, I turned and fled, crashing through the underbrush with reckless abandon. Behind me, I could hear the heavy thud of footsteps as the creature gave chase, its primal roar ringing in my ears like a death knell. I ran until my lungs burned and my legs threatened to give out beneath me. When I finally emerged from the forest, I collapsed to the ground, gasping for breath, my mind reeling with the horrors I had witnessed. From that day on, I've never been able to shake the memory of my encounter with Bigfoot. It haunts my dreams, lurking in the shadows of my subconscious, a reminder of the untamed wilderness and the primal forces that dwell within it. And though I may have escaped with my life, I know that there are some nightmares from which there is no escape.